Anant Laxman Kanhere, the reactionary from Nashik. He was just 18 when he assassinated one of the prominent officers of the British law enforcement. At the age of 19, he was hanged for his crime. Hailing from Maharashtra, he created history when he carried out a sensational murder plot that resulted in his execution by the British government. This is the story of Anant Laxman Kanhere, a young reactionary from Maharashtra who went down in history for his act of revenge against the British cruelty by assassinating an officer of the British law for his atrocious activities against the Indians. Early life and education. Anant Laxman Kanhere was a young freedom fighter born into a Konkan family in Brahmanwadi, located in the Ayani village in the district of Ratnagiri, Maharashtra, on 7th January 1891. He had 4 siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. As per some reports, his elder brother was Ganpat Rao, who lived in the Barshi city of Maharashtra, and his younger brother was Shankar Rao. After receiving his primary education from a school in Indur, also referred to as Nizamabad, he proceeded to move to Aurangabad for his higher education. This eventually led him to meet and get closely acquainted with several revolutionary freedom fighters, most of them heading different secret organizations that all had the common goal of removing the British presence from India. Inspired by their work, Anant also decided to be a part of such a movement, setting him on the path of martyrdom for his nation. Political activities. Anant lived during a period when feelings of hatred and disdain against the British were witnessing a steep growth. The contemptuous treatment of the British towards the Indians, along with their rising brutality towards them, only served to further increase the efforts of the Indian freedom fighters to permanently eradicate the British Empire from their country. Across India, acts of violence and armed rebellion were steadily increasing day by day. As a result, numerous revolutionary outfits were established all over India in order to successfully fight and defeat the British regime. With this goal of achieving complete independence from the British, Anant also joined the freedom struggle. ABHINAV BHARAT. The state of Maharashtra was referred to as Central Province during the British rule in India, being a center of various movements and activities both by the government and the freedom fighters. A number of parties and organizations were established here. The ABHINAV BHARAT was one such group set in the Nashik city of Maharashtra to similarly fight against the colonial rulers. Also known as the Young India Society, ABHINAV BHARAT was a secret youth organization founded by the brothers Vinayak Savarkar and Ganesh Savarkar in 1904. The ultimate aim of the organization was to drive the British out of India permanently. They believed that this could only be achieved through an armed rebellion against the crown. The members of the group, headed by the Savarkar brothers, worked tirelessly to spread fire of rebellion against the British, and also recruited zealous individuals who shared the same ideology and passion for the movement. Inspired by the philosophy and principles of the secret organization, Anant Kanhere also joined the group to assist them in securing freedom for their country. Arthur Jackson. The primary source of all the hatred and rage that propelled the people of Nashik to resort to violent strategies in defeating the British was the then magistrate of Nashik, Arthur M.T. Jackson, a British officer, part of the Indian Civil Services. Jackson was a clever and cunning British police officer who, unlike others in the law enforcement, actively went out and interacted with the Indians. He gained their trust by informing them about his knowledge of Sanskrit and Marathi, often communicating with people in Marathi itself, pretending and presenting himself as a friendly officer of the law gave him the chance to glean information from the public about the activities of the secret organizations and the revolutionary members. Jackson used this information to carry out numerous arrests and atrocities against several Indian revolutionary leaders. He is said to be the one pulling the strings behind the prosecution of Ganesh Savarkar, also known as Baba Rao Savarkar, who was arrested for publishing a 16-page patriotic song. Jackson also further humiliated Baba Rao by publicly parading him in front of a crowd after his arrest. All this, coupled with other atrocities of varying degrees, such as protecting an officer who tortured a farmer to death and the arrest of Lokmanya Tilak, only served to increase the public's hatred and rage towards Jackson. The sudden promotion of Jackson to the role of Commissioner of Mumbai was the last straw for the freedom fighters. Unable to sit idly by as the British brutality against the Indians continued to rise, Anant Kanhere decided to take matters into his own hands, committing an act that will ripple through the history of India's independence movement. The Nashik Conspiracy. 21st December 1909 was a day of immense significance to the people of Nashik as well as the Indian independence movement as a whole. It was a day of victory for the freedom fighters against the British regime in the form of revenge for all the brutality exhibited by them towards Indians. As a form of celebration of the promotion and farewell to Jackson, the people of Nashik organized a ceremony for him in the Nashik ABHINAV theatre, where the Marathi play Sangeet Sharada was enacted on stage for him. 3 members of the freedom struggle, Anant Kanhere, Vinayak Deshpande and Krishnaji Karve, took this as the golden opportunity to eliminate Jackson. They hatched a plan to kill him on the day of the ceremony. It was decided that Anant Kanhere would be the one to shoot Jackson and will immediately commit suicide after that, either by shooting himself or consuming poison to prevent being arrested by the police. If he were to fail, as backup, Vinayak Deshpande was to shoot Jackson. And if that too failed, Krishnaji Karve was to execute the plan. All 3 procured weapons for themselves as part of the scheme. On 21st December 1909, when Jackson arrived to celebrate his transfer from Nashik and witness the play, Anant took the opportunity to execute a surprising attack. During a break in the drama, he jumped in front of his target and immediately fired 4 shots at him with his pistol. It was instant death for the former magistrate of Nashik. Anant tried to implement the next stage of his plan by committing suicide, but he was prevented from attaining complete success as the officers present at the scene immediately detained him and took him into custody for murder, death. An intense investigation and interrogation followed the arrest of the perpetrators of the murder, when he was relentlessly questioned to reveal the names of the co-conspirators in the murder plot. However, during the trial, Anant maintained that he was the sole mastermind behind the entire scheme and took full responsibility for the crime. However, his determination to hide the other members who were part of the plan proved to be futile, as both Vinayak Deshpande and Krishnaji Karve were eventually arrested by the police and their role in the murder was revealed to them. All three of them were sentenced to be hanged for their crimes by the Bombay court. History added few more names to the growing list of martyrs who laid down their lives for India's freedom. The new addition to the list was the 19-year-old Anant Laxman Kanhere, who, along with Deshpande and Karve, was hanged to death at the Thane jail on 19th April 1910. Their bodies were burned by the police on the prison premises itself, instead of being handed over to the families. The remaining ashes after the bodies were burnt were also not released to them, but were thrown into the sea near Thane. Notable works. Though he lived a short life, Anant Kanhere certainly cherished the memories and the friendships he developed over time. He once wrote a novel titled Mitra Prem that contained his account of the friendships formed during his time with the secret society of Maharashtra. Legacy. On 28th November 2009, the Bharatiya Itihas Sankalan Samiti had published a book written by Professor Dr. M.B. Kulkarni titled Parakrami Yuvak Anant Kanhere. The book offers the readers a glimpse into the life of one of the courageous reactionaries of India. In remembrance of the brave act of Anant Laxman Kanhere that bolstered the Indian spirit of revolution against the British, a Marathi film titled 1909, written and directed by ABHINAV, was released in the year 2014. The movie is based on the assassination of Jackson by Kanhere and is set in the year 1909 when the independence activities against the British were gaining momentum. The film was shot in the same location where Jackson was assassinated. Recently, on 14th June 2022, the Government of India, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, had inaugurated the Kranti Gatha, the Gallery of Revolutionaries, which was newly constructed inside an underground British-era bunker situated at the Raj Bhavan in Mumbai. It was constructed as a tribute to the many legendary freedom fighters, both known and unknown, who had dedicated their lives to free India from the clutches of the British Empire. Anant Laxman Kanhere is one among the numerous activists featured there. The armed struggles from Maharashtra and the role of ABHINAV Bharat are also depicted in the gallery. Conclusion. A young man with the dream of living in a British free India, Anant Laxman Kanhere is a source of motivation, hope and strength for the people of India, having sacrificed his life at the very young age of 19 in order to fulfill his dream. The sacrifices and contributions of such a fearless youth must never be forgotten by India.